Yes, the sound of heavily distorted cello playing Hall of the Mountain King can only mean one thing. It is time for the long overdue return of Don't Touch the Beard in this episode 7, because yes, episode 7s can happen, it turns out. Now, you have to forgive me for the month-long absence since I last uploaded a video. Since we last spoke, I flew from here all the way up to here, did some stuff for a week, and then flew back again along the same path. From there, all the way up to Singapore, which was lovely, by the way, and then from there, back home to Blight. This is, of course, the debut for my beautiful new Blacksmith miniatures acquired for me by Gary the Ninja at Gen Con. Good work, Gary the Ninja, your clan should be proud. And I face off against a new local opponent, Steve, who has only been playing the game for about 2 months, so about the same length of time as me. More traditional and epic player, which is nice to see that game's still getting some coverage. He is using Smoke Alchemists. He never existed pre-errata, didn't get a chance to use pre-errata Midas. So what I'm trying to say is Steve's a good guy. He's not some kind of Midas scumbag. So welcome, Steve, and thank you very much for the game. Highly enjoyable down at Darksphere, as all of my games thus far have been. Now, it is worth noting that both of us forgot to bring any plot cards for this game, so they won't be used throughout, unfortunately. Must remember them for all future games. Turns out when I got home, I did have them in my card folder all along. Idiot. So Steve with his Alchemist teams went with Smoke, Flask, Original Catalyst, Decimate, Mercury and Calculus. I in turn went with the Forged in Steel 6 of Anvil Sledge, Ferrite and Iron, Furnace and Cinder. So I am receiving, after Smoke has kicked out to the bottom portion of the pitch, I put 2 on Anvil, 3 on Sledge just in case, 2 on Furnace, 2 on Iron, 1 on Ferrite and 2 on Cinder. Now I have deployed very bunched up, as there is something I wanted to try out. Well, really 2 things. One, how bad can conditions be against Blacksmiths? Spoiler alert, quite bad. And second of all, I wanted to try a movement trick on the pitch as opposed to purely theory. The Alchemists in turn get 4 on Smoke, none on Flask, 3 on Mercury, 4 on Calculus, 2 on Decimate and none on Catalyst. So I start off with Iron and spend a point of influence to activate Impetus, giving him +2/+4 movement, and then spend his final point of influence to sprint down the back line of the Blacksmiths, and due to the Battering Ram character trait, anyone he comes into contact with is pushed 2 inches directly away from him. Now, of course, there's nothing that says that the sprint or the Battering Ram has to be in a straight line, so by sort of wiggling in an S shape, you can dictate much more heavily than I originally anticipated exactly where you are pushed to. So just to anticipate some comments from you, oh handy eagle-eyed viewer such as you are. No, not everyone has gone directly forward, purely due to that sort of slight shimmying and strafing that Iron has done as he goes down the line, shoulder barging his guildmates out of the way and shoving them forwards towards the opposition, because after all, Blacksmiths are a slow team, apparently. Now, I wasn't expecting this quite so early, but lesson learned, oh handy viewer such as you are, as Calculus steps up and Noxious blasts directly into my line, handing out 2 points of damage and poison to Cinder, Furnace and Sledge, and of course gives them all the poison condition. And then due to Smoke's aura, this has generated a point of momentum for the Alchemists. It begins. He then immediately uses that point of momentum to bonus time a blind attempt on Cinder, which goes off without a hitch, giving Cinder all the hideous debuffs that go along with the blind. I in turn activate Cinder and jog her forward less than usual, and due to Hot Shot, take a shot at Calculus. Attack 3 versus 4s and 1s, I get no net hits. That's fine, I was only looking to generate a point of momentum, it would have been nice, but there we go. And then the principal point of activating Cinder is I then kill the ball, with her character play, causing a new ball to be kicked out from my goal, which snaps directly to Furnace. So what I suspect is an ablative activation, and also to set up Smoke later on. Flask steps forward and chuffs out a little smoke cloud. Anvil next, who casts While the Iron is Hot, causing all friendly guildmates within 6-inch aura to dodge 2 inches towards a goalpost of my choosing. Naturally, I choose the Alchemist goalpost at this point. My deployment continues to bite me in the proverbial as Mercury steps up and fire blasts Anvil, Sledge and Furnace. All of them taking damage, reduced by Tough Hide on Anvil, and Furnace does not take the burning condition due to Fireforged. I activate Furnace, who tools up Sledge and then passes the ball to Iron. I don't make any teamwork actions with Iron, preferring in fact to bank the point of momentum. I then step into the rough ground so that later on in the game I can step out of it. Genius. So Smoke activates, and after shuffling forward, she duplicates with Alchemy Mix the Fire Blast over Furnace, setting him on fire. She then uses Chemical Breeze to drift the Fire Blast over Cinder, setting her on fire. And then a subtle and pernicious, malicious move, she Chemical Breezes Fire Blasts off Sledge and Anvil, and just in front of Sledge and Anvil, thus ensuring that even if I clear conditions, I then need to move through the Fire Blast to charge anyone and gain burning again. Sneaky Alchemist player. And then after setting most of my team alight, she cloud jumps back to Flask's little cloud, because coward. I mean, don't get me wrong, very sensible coward, but, you know, coward. Iron then sprints further up the pitch and uses... Not Iron, sorry, Furnace. Ferrite. 3rd time's the charm. Nice one, Beard. Ferrite sprints further up the pitch and then uses Get Over Here Iron to bring her apprentice along with her for the ride. Now, it is not directly towards, it is just towards, so you can do usual Scum and Friday style nonsense of terms of positioning. So yeah, that's nice. I like that. Bodyguard. That's bound to work out well. Might be rambling. Can you tell I haven't done one of these in a while? I think it's pretty evident I haven't done one of these in a while. I might be rambling a little bit and talking nonsense. Oh yeah, and then Catalyst advances. I activate Sledge, and I have frankly no idea what to do with his influence, so I clear conditions on him using Take a Breather. Watching this back, I'm not sure that was the right move. Might have been better to heal rather than clear conditions, because that would have been a larger net gain of health, I think. I'm not sure. Please, oh handy viewer, such as you are, do comment down below in the doobly-doo below the table and tell me which one I should have done. As yeah, it's curious. I'm not sure which way the maths works on that, and it's very early in the morning before work, and I can't be bothered to work it out. So you can work it out for me, and that's how this works, right? Yeah, cool. Cheers, guys. Decimate activates and charges into Iron. Decimate is a phenomenal piece of Blacksmith tech due to her huge threat ranges and, of course, anatomical precision. So no great surprise to see her in the team versus me. So that is TAC 10 versus 2s and 1s. 7 net hits gets a momentous 1 dodge and a momentous tackle double dodge. So Iron says nope to the point of damage due to Tough Hide and nope to the tackle due to close control. Decimate then has a lot of dodges to get the hell out of the way. You could say she uses her dodges to get out of dodge. You really get what you pay for on this YouTube channel, I'm sure you'll agree, which is nothing. So you get nothing apart from this. Eat it. So that is the end of turn 1. The score is 0-0. The Alchemists are well ahead on the momentum race. Sneaky little things. And they win initiative and elect to go first, giving me a point of momentum. So for allocation, Smoke gets 4, Flask none, Mercury 2, Calculus 1, Decimate 2 and Catalyst 4. I in turn give 2 to Anvil, 3 to Sledge, 1 to Furnace, 2 to Iron, 3 to Ferrite and 1 to Cinder. So Catalyst starts us off on turn 2 and charges straight into Iron. He is TAC 11 versus 2s and 2s, 7 net hits is a momentous knockdown and a momentous push. The ball scatters straight from the 2 big men and lands at the bigger man and snaps directly to Anvil. He then hits Iron again, so that is TAC 8 versus 2s and 2s, 5 net hits and hits a momentous external combustion, pushing him away, causing the burning pulse. But no one within that pulse is not already on fire, because apparently the dumb thing to be doing while playing Alchemists is to be on fire.
Catalyst then turns his ire against Ferrite, attack 8 versus 3s and 2s, 3 net hits, and he goes for the momentous knockdown result. I develop some kind of plan, and Anvil then passes the ball to Sledge to generate a point of momentum. He then sprints and uses Come On Mate to clear momentums on Ferrite. Sorry, not momentums, conditions. Conditions is the thing that he clears. Although it does also clear my momentum. Again, rambling. Calculus then bonus times a blind attempt on Sledge, and that comes off, so Sledge is -2 attack, -2 kick, and -2 move. Yay! So I activate Cinder, who, due to Hotshot, can once per turn take a melee action against a model that's up to 6 inches away, so she fires her crossbow at Calculus, so that is attack 5 versus 4s and 1s. 2 net hits gets me a momentous dodge. Now, it is worth noting that she is also kindled, because I've started the activation within 6 inches of furnace. However, I don't do damage, so I don't hand out burning. Maybe I should. Maybe I should start setting them on fire, see how they like it. Not a lot. Mercury steps up. Oh, I hate this guy. And he fire blasts both Sledge and Furnace, setting Sledge on fire, and do 2 damage to both Sledge and Furnace. Furnace doesn't go on fire, not because of Fireforge, but because he's already on fire. Iron stands up and uses Impetus. This is in preparation for a Get Over Here Iron later on in the turn that I will forget to use. Flask activates and Flask farts. You made me remember earlier I moved Furnace into the rough ground so that I could then later move him out. This is that time, oh handy viewers such as you are, witness as I move Furnace a bit. Decimate activates and jogs around to engage Ferrite. Do note the position. Not the position. Do note rather anatomical precision. Rhymes with it. Sounds the same. Isn't the same. But yes, anatomical precision. Very useful against blacksmiths. So first attack, attack 7 versus 3s and 1s. 4 net hits is a momentous 2 dodge. Second attack then, attack 7 versus 3s and 1s. 4 net hits is another momentous 2 dodge. Now then, Blacksmith players, just you, everyone else, stop listening. This is a situation that may not come up very often, but it is one worth bearing in mind, because watching this back, I've realised I've done it wrong. We have all been very excited about tutelage and Sledge being able to activate character plays in terms of activate pile driver. However, in this situation, I could have used that ability to activate long bomb, because Sledge is here to pass. So do bear that in mind. Tutelage is not just for pile driver. Everyone alright? Alright, cool. Back to the game. So I spend a point of influence to activate Long Bomb and pass to Ferrite. Now due to all the crowd outs and line of sight issues, I'm on a 1 dice pass. However, I bonus time it. The pass is good. And the ball is now with Ferrite, with the 2 people that are engaging her having activated already. Excellent. Sledge then sprints to space out a bit, because I'm getting bored a bit by AoEs, and it's my fault. So Smoke activates and has a little bit of a walk. She then uses Chemical Mix, or Alchemical Mix, and Chemical Breeze to make more fire and to move that fire onto Ferrite, setting her on fire. Because clearly there's a Ferrite goal run coming, so setting her on fire to reduce her movement makes a lot of sense. Smoke activates her legendary play character, Chemical Shower, and drops one on Iron, Anvil, and Sledge, doing 3 points of damage to each. She then Chemical Breezes one over Sledge again, not doing the damage this time, rather giving him the poison condition. She then Chemical Breezes the Fire Blast in the rough ground over Cinder, setting Cinder on fire. Lovely. So I activate Ferrite, who sprints within Catalyst's engagement, Decimite having dodged out. If she hadn't done, this would have been a lot more complicated. When I get to the edge of Catalyst's engagement, I then acrobatic out of it, giving me a clear path to goal, less 1 dice due to being engaged by Flask. Then with Flask also being on the ball path, as I learned on the singled out noob quiz that I did with the gents there, that is less another dice, so it's a 2 dice shot from Ferrite, and bang, back of the net, although there is no net, 4-0 up to the Blacksmiths. Yay! Jank, jankety jank, jank. Jank, jank. I then use momentum from the goal to clear conditions, which I shouldn't have been able to. Of course, scoring a goal immediately ends your activation. Bad beard. Naughty. The turn ends, conditions tick, and Sledge dies. It's Alchemists 2, Blacksmiths 4. Boo! So, Alchemists are 6-0 up on momentum, so automatically win initiative. Elect to go first, giving me a point of momentum, and they do so before kicking out as well. That made sense. I know the English. I love this bit. So I nip off to the loo, because, neat reasons. And Steve has himself a good old measure of everything on the board, which makes sense, as he's well entitled to do. He does, however, make one critical error, which I will allow him to describe.
Sorry, in measuring the ball, I foolishly just moved it. So, I think it was about there, but if you want to prod it around, sorry, I was just moving it.
It's alright, I'm quite happy for that. I shall just call you a hideous cheat on the camera.
That's absolutely fair enough. It's a blatant act of cheating. I just got all the tokens, it's like, oh, that's a token, I'll just move that.
So yeah, Steve, you are a hideous cheat of the worst kind. I've automatically won, and we are merely playing out the rest of this game due to politeness. Yes, that's what happened. Smoke gets 4, Flask gets none, Mercury gets none, yay, no Fire Blast, Calculus gets 2, probably a Noxious Blast, and Decimate gets 3, and Cat gets 4. I then put 2 on Sledge, which really should have been 3, really should have been, for reasons that will fast become apparent. Anvil gets 2, Iron gets 4, Ferrite gets 3, and Cinder gets the goal influence scored last turn. So, starting with Catalyst, he is, due to crowd outs and burning effigy, he's attack 8 versus 3s and 2s, gets 2 net hits, and that's a momentous knockdown. And I don't think we've talked about burning effigy, which basically states he gets +2 attack when he's on fire, and ignores the movement penalty of fire. He likes being on fire, so why can't he be on fire instead of all my guys? It's just selfish. So Catalyst proceeds to stick the boot in, taking a play directly from that filthy honours playbook, and that's Tech 9 versus 2s and 2s with the now knocked 9 Ferrite. 4 net hits is a momentous 2 double push. Again, Tech 9 versus 2s and 2s with Ferrites. 4 net hits is the momentous 2 double push again. And then lastly, that is Tech 9 versus 2s and 2s. 5 net hits is the momentous external combustion, shoving her around. So here's where I make the biggest mistake of the game. So I activate Sledge and sprint him over the rough ground, giving him more, fast ground at the top of the screen, giving him more movement. Snap the ball 2, sprint back an inch, and then look to kick to space. If I'd had one more point of influence to get long bomb up, it really would have changed this game, I think. Now what I'm hoping for is a kind scatter to get the ball onto either Anvil or more likely Iron. However, watching this back, the probability of that coming off is tiny. This is one of those things where you think in your head at the time it's likely, and then you can go home and bitch about it on forums about dice math. But if you actually look at the probability of what you want to happen, it's not likely. Don't roll 2 dice and expect to get the 7th result in your playbook. Equally, don't roll a whole bunch of dice for direction and scatter and expect it to go exactly the way you want it. So the ball's only scattered about halfway to where I needed it to go, and very sensibly, Steve takes full advantage of my mistake. He activates Decimate, sprints forward, snapping the ball en route, and smashes the ball into the back of the post. Goal. Goal for the Alchemist that I've essentially handed to them on a platter. Decimate then runs the length and allows him to take up a position which will in later turns allow him to dominate the outcome of this match. This really is the turning point of the game. Idiot. The score is now 6-4 to Alchemists. I kick the ball out and the scatter is a little bit more favourable this time. However, I'm not being such a tool. And the ball snaps directly to Furnace. I activate Anvil and I pop my legendary play-tested metal, which as I'm not captain only gives me +1 tack, but hey, more tack, always useful, and I charge straight into Catalyst. So that is a mighty butcher-like tack 11 versus 3s and 1s. 3 net hits allows me to put a momentous singled out on Catalyst. Steve electing not to counter-attack due to Anvil's knockdown on 1, entirely sensible. In a move that massively surprised me at the time, Calculus doesn't Noxious Blast, rather she charges Ferrite. So that's tack 11 versus 2s and 2s due to all the crowd outs and a knockdown ferrite. So that's 8 net hits, is a momentous 2 push dodge and a momentous 2 push dodge. Well, at least I'm in Noxious Blasts, thinks Ferrite, and activates, immediately getting poisoned due to poisonous fumes of calculus. Brilliant. She then clears conditions using Take a Breather and Acrobatics out of the vast majority of engagements. So, Ferrite attacks Smoke, so that's tack 5 versus 4s and 1s. I get 3 net hits, but elect to do a momentous disarm, reducing Smoke's tack to 2. Smoke has declared a counter-attack. At this point, Steve realises his 2 tack cannot get past my 2 armour in any way and curses the ground that I walk on. Excuse me. So I have another swing. That's tack 5 versus 4s and 1s, 3 net hits, and I get a momentous push dodge, and I take Smoke away from the fracas. Flask activates and he jogs him round to engage Catalyst. Not engage, but be with Catalyst so that Catalyst has got some friends. I kindly point out, due to be the lovely person that I am, that due to Battering Ram, were I to charge Catalyst, Flask would be pinged out of the way harmlessly. So, because I'm not an idiot, and I'm not some kind of tool. This isn't a gotcha game. We are not tournament players. We are friendly people having friendly games. Friends. So he moves just behind Catalyst and has a little fart to give him cover. So I activate Iron, who charges Catalyst. So due to the presence of Anvil, charging bonuses and singled out, that is tack 12s versus a defensive stanced cat 4 and 1. 8 next hits is a momentous 7 damage and 1 damage. Bosh! He then uses Take a Breather to clear conditions on himself. Iron then punches him again. Tack 8 versus 3s and 1s now. That is 5 net hits. I go for the momentous 4 damage. When you're on to good thing, keep doing a good thing. So that's tack 8 versus 3s and 1s, 6 net hits. Again, the momentous 4 damage. That's 16 damage Iron has done in 3 attacks. Oh, excuse me. Mercury moves about or something, I don't know. So Furnace uses Take a Breather to clear conditions on himself. He passes to Cinder, who has a little bit of a dodge, and I entirely forget to pay the momentum for it. Apologies, I've clearly been on holiday and forgotten how to play this game. So the disarmed Smoke, lol, has a cloud jump away from the fight with Ferrite. So with the charge into Iron, she has tack 7 versus his 2s and 3s, due to Sentinel, so that's 3 net hits, and she goes for the momentous double push. So she kind of nudges him back out of the big engagement in the middle, which makes sense. I activate Cinder, who uses Take a Breather to clear all conditions, and I then walk forward towards the alchemy goal, feeling a lot better about the condition game now. I've actually had the momentum to clear stuff. That said, it has ravaged my health pools across the board. So although Cinder has the 3-8 kick, making her just as good as Midas, lol, I bonus time the shot, and it's just as well I did, as this noise will demonstrate.
Bonus time. Very much worth the bonus time.
So Cinders knocks one in for me, as she has already done so many times, bringing the score 6-8 to the Blacksmiths. Much better. Although practically I've scored 3 goals this game already. Never mind. Moving on. I then run the length, getting the hell out of dodge. Dodge. So the ball is kicked out and it ends up at the top of the screen near that barrier, and no, it doesn't snap to anyone. It just sits there in the middle of the pitch, being happy. Lovely little ball. Yet again, the Alchemists have an enormous stack of momentum compared to my none. I really do believe momentum. I think it's just a playstyle thing. It's no wonder I didn't get on with Brewers. And elect to go first, surprisingly. Unfortunately, there's quite a lot of noise in store at this point, and I can't quite make out the allocation for the Alchemists with any degree of certainty. I believe it is 4 on Smoke, 2 on Flask, 2 on Mercury, 2 on Calculus, 2 on Decimate, and 1 on Catalyst, but don't quote me on that, I'm afraid. The actions will be accurate as the sound quality improved, but I'm just not sure about allocation. Sorry. Conversely, I'm painfully aware of the misallocation that I did, because I put 4 on Cinder and none on Ferrite. Wrong. 4 on Iron, none on Furnace, 3 on Sledge, and 3 on Anvil. So Smoke activates, sprints, snaps the ball to, passes to Decimate, who then makes a 4-inch dodge. I am now painfully aware that I have no one that can reach Decimate. Even with Sledge making use of fast ground, with Furnace coming back, I got nothing. I got absolutely nothing to stop this goal. Ferrite is currently on 1 wound, so I take a breather to heal her, and realise I should have given her some influence to sprint away and try and get the hell out of dodge. I pop my legendary play, tongue-in-cheek, in an awful position because it doesn't affect anybody else, but it does give me +2/+2 move to try and get the hell out. That's still only a 7-inch move, so I run to the cover at the top of the screen. By this point, I can pretty much see the 6-point turn happening before me, cursing my mistakes, especially watching this back. In the meantime, Catalyst jogs up and takes a poke at Iron. So he pops Iron square in the jaw, so attack 7 versus 2s and 3s, that's 3 net hits, he goes for the momentous knockdown. He then turns his attention to Anvil, it's attack 6 this time versus 2s and 3s, 2 net hits, again a momentous knockdown. Anvil stands straight back up again, good lad. He is attack 6 versus 3s and 1s, a Catalyst, 3 net hits, and he goes for the momentous singled out. So attack 8 this time versus Catalyst 3s and 1s, 6 net hits, so I pop him straight in the face with 3 damage. Calculus uses Noxious Blast, aiming this time at Cinder, catching her for 2 damage and giving her the poison condition. She then aims a blind squarely at Iron and whiffs it entirely, getting a 1. I activate Cinder, who uses Take a Breather to heal damage. Possibly should have used that momentum elsewhere, looking back at it now. Oh well. I then shoot Calculus with Cinder, attack 5s versus 4s and 1s, 2 net hits, I take the double dodge. This is of course all possible thanks to Hotshot. Now I've given Cinder all this influence because she is incredibly squishy on paper, she is the squishiest of all blacksmiths. So I sprint away and give her decoy. I then had influence begging, which really should have gone on Ferrite, because although Ferrite is much more survival on paper and at the beginning of the game, she's on like 7 wounds at this point, and deep in enemy territory and near the deployments, I'm in a lot of trouble. So I've kind of saved Cinder, but I needed some of that influence to also save Ferrite. My bad. So Mercury steps up and he fire blasts Ferrite, giving her burning and 2 damage. She's even worse condition now than what I was saying just 3 seconds ago. I must have got the allocation right at the beginning of the turn. Mercury must have 4 here because he then flame jets Ferrite, giving her another 3 damage. So she's down to like 2 wounds at this point. So we got Ferrite on 2 wounds and Decimate very, very near the goal. The 6-point play here is very, very clear. Iron takes a breather to clear all conditions on himself and readies a shot at Catalyst. So that is attack 8 versus 3s and 1s, 6 net hits, go for the momentous 4 damage. Pow! Another swing, again I am attack 8 versus 3s and 1s, 6 net hits, momentous 4 damage. Pow! Once more into the Catalyst, attack 8 versus 3s and 1s, yet again 6 net hits, momentous 4 damage. That takes out Catalyst. The score is now Alchemist 6, 10 to the Blacksmith with a Catalyst takeout. So I've got my 2 goals and a takeout. I need another takeout, and Steve needs a takeout and a goal. It's getting very dicey and very cagey at this point. Flask fart. So Furnace has a bit of a jog about. I've really not used him well this game. Alright, he passed to Cinder for my goal, and that's it. That's really what he's done. He's not my favourite master, and I need to get better at using him and to work out what he's for. Or I need to replace him as soon as possible. Decimate, unsurprisingly, jogs forward into tap and range and deftly sidefoots the ball into the post. Decimate's positioning in this game has been everything. Absolutely everything has been wonderfully used by Steve. Nice one, mate. So there we are. The score is now drawn at 10 apiece. The ball kicks out and it snaps directly to Iron, who is possibly capable of sprinting up and getting the ball in, suddenly there is hope. Sledge sprints down from the top of the pitch and engages Smoke. I then spend a point of influence to activate Pile Driver, giving me an additional 3 net hits on my next attack. So that then is tack 4 due to the cover versus the 4s and 1s of Smoke. I get 3 net hits plus the 3 from Pile Driver for 6, and I go for the momentous knockdown. Sledge then takes a breather and heals 4 wounds. Frankly, then it all comes down to this. We roll initiative and tie. We roll initiative and tie again. We roll initiative and the Alchemists win and elect to go first, giving me a point of momentum. The allocations here are largely irrelevant, so forgive me, handy viewer such as you are, if I skip them entirely, as the important thing is Catalyst comes on the board right next to Ferrite. I think you can see where this is going. So, the first attack, tack 7 versus 3s and 2s. 2 net hits is a momentous knockdown. Second attack is tack 7 versus 2s and 2s. 4 net hits, so he goes for the momentous 2, double push. And then with the last attack, that is tack 8 versus 2s and 2s, 3 net hits. And curse Steve for all eternity. At this point, he goes, oh, 1 damage. And I think to myself, I've gotten away with it. I've gotten away with it. Ferrite has been left on 1 wound and I can run iron through and score. And then he just goes, oh wait, no, 2 knockdown. And that is it. So there we are, handy viewer, such as you are. Alchemist 12, Blacksmiths 10. So there we are. It is nice to be back, to be videoing, documenting, and then talking nonsense over the top of Guild Ball once more. Don't think I said that at the start, so I'm just going to sneak it in there. Cracking game from Steve. Really played the field well. Maybe new to Guild Ball, but clearly not new to Wargaming. Really enjoyed his team. Really nice to see Smoke getting some run out after the post Midas cuddle or Perkins to the knee, depending on how you want to put it. I wanted to try out a whole bunch of stuff with Blacksmiths in this game. Namely, that movement shenanigans at the start of turn 1, which I really liked, and much better than the sort of, to my mind, the current internet wisdom of proccing Ferrite's legendary play turn 1 to get the movement buff. I don't agree with that. I'd much rather do that battering ram trick, although it has to be said I used her legendary play terribly. I'm kicking myself watching this back for some of the play, particularly effectively giving Decimate 2 goals. Sledge is pass, allowed Decimate a clear run on goal, and then the pass from Smoke to Decimate allowed them to dominate board position massively and put me on the back foot for the rest of the game. By no means am I saying that my mistake won Steve the game. Steve played a very good, clean game. I may have made it a little easier for him in the end. I'm very happy with the Blacksmiths. They play as I want them to play, which has always been the thing that surprised me as more and more information is released, that they do things how I want. That is a solid, slow, football-based team as opposed to the current footballing teams, which are a lot quicker. It's been an absolute delight to do this for you again. I will endeavour to get back to a more reasonable and regular schedule now that I am back permanently in the UK, at least until the next time I leave. If you have any comments or notice any mistakes or have any questions, please do leave them below in the doobly-doo. A massive thank you to the Mobile podcast, who on their more recent one listed this channel as a source of information on Blacksmith knowledge. They also listed a whole bunch of other places, but I am choosing to ignore them for the sake of my own ego. Thanks very much, lads, much appreciated. It has to be said, the Mobile podcast, if you've not listened to it, would recommend. Their enthusiasm for Blacksmiths when it was first announced was incredibly infectious for me, and part of the reasoning for me getting quite so hyped about them. As mentioned at the beginning of this this video, Steve is a big Epic player within the UK, and he has given me a whole bunch of links to Epic rules forums and the council that he sits on, which I will put in the video description below. He is also part of the UK team for the European Championships that will be taking place this month, September 2017. So best of luck to him and his teammates in that. He's asked me to mention there's about 10 UK tournaments a year, loads in Europe, Australia, USA, and he is some kind of grand high poobah of rules decisioning, so when things don't go the way you want, you can blame him, apparently, which is nice. He also asked me to give a big shout out to Charles Nurser, who is also an Epic player and plays Guildball. I will place all of the links for various things for his Epic-based shenanigans in the video description below, maybe not immediately, but they will go there eventually. So if you have any interest in playing Epic, do check out his community. So there we are, folks. Don't touch the beard, episode 7, because 7s can happen when you try. If you are enjoying my particular brand of nonsense, please click on the beard in the middle. To the left, you will see a playlist for all of my Blacksmith videos. To the right, you'll see a video for the rest of this web series. And as ever, handy viewers such as you are, I need a better outro.